The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning here at 5 a.m. Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher.
The wildfire season is here, and we're already seeing the effects of the drought, with dry brush going up in flames. Kern County Fire responded to a brush fire around 4:15 yesterday afternoon east of Interstate 5 near Edmonston Pumping Plant Road. The fire quickly grew and at last check has burned 500 acres and is just 10% contained. Firefighters hiked up and down the hill to put out the flames, with water-dropping aircraft assisting. Fire officials say the so-called Edmonston fire has the potential to double in size. More than 100 personnel have been brought in to fight this blaze.
In Rosamond, strong winds fanned the flames of a fire that started around 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. This is a time-lapse video sent to us courtesy of Cal Fire. It happened near Harvell Road near 20th Street West. According to the CHP's incident page, 3 mobile homes and a barn caught fire. It's unknown whether anyone was hurt or how the fire started.
New images show California's drought is getting worse. Data from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration shows all of California is in at least a moderate to extreme drought, with parts of Southern California on the more moderate to extreme drought monitor. The Climate Prediction Center also announced yesterday the entire state of California will likely have a hotter than normal summer.
Developing news now, a standoff that started last night in Fresno continues this morning.
Attention to the building in State Park. The building is completely surrounded. Anyone inside needs to exit with their hands up.
An off-duty police officer spotted a car believed to have been involved in a burglary in southern Fresno County. The 3 suspects were seen exiting a Macy's store. When deputies arrived, 2 of the suspects ran back into the store while a third jumped in a vehicle and started ramming patrol cars. The suspect then took off and deputies followed. That pursuit ended shortly and the suspect ran into a supermarket. Police have evacuated the Save Mart supermarket and are utilizing drones to monitor the person inside. The 2 suspects who ran back into the Macy's have been arrested. California lawmakers move forward with hundreds of bills to address issues from gun violence to abortion and homelessness. On the legislative calendar, it's known as Suspense Day. 17's Ashley Zavala has more on which bills got the axe and which ones made the cut.
Suspense Day at the state capitol did not get off to a smooth start after a power outage delayed business for lawmakers Thursday.
I welcome you to today's historic first and hopefully only session in the swing space.
The swing space is a separate new legislative office building.
Come to order.
By early afternoon, the Assembly and Senate Appropriations Committees began combing through hundreds of bills on the suspense file. The suspense file is reserved for bills that could cost the state more than $50,000 from the general fund and $150,000 from special funds. It puts bills on a metaphorical chopping block.
To pass as amended.
Among those that survived Wednesday, a package of bills aiming to reduce gun violence in California. That includes 2 measures allowing private citizens to sue gun makers and sellers, plus restrictions on ghost guns and firearm advertising to children. The approval coming after lawmakers adjourned session in memory of shooting victims from across the country this week.
I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Lawmakers also moved forward with a set of bills that attempt to ramp up abortion access and protections, including one that would establish a fund to help low-income and out-of-state women get abortions. They also approved a set of bills providing tax relief to the cannabis industry, which has warned of a potential collapse because of high taxes and regulations. Another survivor, Governor Gavin Newsom's Care Court proposal. The bill aims to get the severely mentally ill off the streets and into treatment, which in some cases could be forced.
That bill is out.
Meanwhile, lawmakers okayed bills to pull some investments from state retirement systems. One bill requires divestment from fossil fuel companies by 2030. Another requiring the same, plus a ban on state contracts with companies linked to Russia and Belarus. Now these bills head to the Senate and Assembly floors, where they face a key deadline to pass by next Friday. At the state capitol, Ashley Zavala, 17 News.
5:06 is their time now, and they took an oath to protect and serve, and while doing so, they gave their lives. Dozens of fallen officers were honored and remembered in Kern County on National Peace Officers Memorial Day. 17's Christian Galeno has more.
Attention city units, stand by for an end-of-watch broadcast.
The day to remember our fallen officers of the law started bright and early at Bakersfield Police headquarters. Bakersfield Police honored the fallen officers with roll call. A laying of a wreath at the police memorial by relatives and survivors honored some of the lost ones in the line of duty, and it kicked off the ceremonies for the day.
We honor that honorable sacrifice and honor the notion of selfless service and service with honor.
William Leonard Sokola.
BPD has lost 10 officers, with the most recent loss being a canine unit named Django. Those that patrol California's roads were also honored. The California Highway Patrol remembered their fallen officers with tributes alongside of the families of the fallen.
Working for the community and trying to save the community. As you saw here, we have a lot of departments with us as well, just like we'll go be with their departments as well for their ceremonies.
Over at KCSO headquarters, a very somber and emotional ceremony remembered the 31 fallen of the force.
Joining Sheriff Donnie Youngblood to place the plaque.
One by one, the 31 names of fallen deputies and officers were read, and a plaque was placed on a memorial wall by KCSO leadership. The last name read was of Deputy Sheriff Philip Jesse Campus, who was killed in the line of duty last July during a standoff at a home in Wasco. Accompanying Campus's family was Sheriff Donnie Youngblood, as well as officers from neighboring agencies.
I know when the first one was put up there, who would have thought this number would grow to this number? But it did. And we know that the future ahead of us and the world that we live in, this may reoccur in our organization. We hope to God not.
The Day of Remembrance ended back in downtown Bakersfield, where a countywide ceremony remembered 36 officers of the law who paid the ultimate sacrifice, even as a nationwide anti-police sentiment continues to grow.
I think the pendulum is swinging back the other way now throughout the country, because I think people can see that not all law enforcement officers are perfect. Not, certainly they make mistakes and they do illegal things. But at the end of the day, the majority of them will do anything they can to serve and fill their obligations, and that is to protect, anyone in this community.
For 17 News, I'm Christian Galeno.
And in honor of National Police Week, the annual Boots and Brew Country Music Festival returns in person tomorrow night. The event is put on by the family of the late BPD officer David Nelson in his memory. Nelson died back in 2015 after a car crash during a high-speed chase. All the proceeds will go to the Officer David J. Nelson Memorial Scholarship Fund. The goal is to raise $75,000. The night will feature live music, silent auction, raffle prizes, and line dancing at the 1933 Event Center on Downing Avenue. It's happening from 5 to 10 p.m. The event is free and open to everyone.
Education news now. CSUB's spring commencement ceremonies are taking place this weekend, with the graduate ceremony for all 4 academic schools kicking things off tonight. 17's Chris Burton is live at CSUB this morning with a preview of what to expect. Chris, this is a big year because we know it has been several years since we've had an in-person ceremony. There's a lot to celebrate.
Well, Maddie, yes, it is such an exciting weekend and let's remember, these students have been through so much to get to this point, and this point is very exciting for them. Between the students getting their degrees this weekend and those that graduated in the fall, CSUB will recognize more than 3,000 graduates this year. But this weekend ceremonies all start tonight at the CSUB soccer field. Graduate students will walk the stage starting at 6:30. Those graduate students from all 4 schools combined. Now, tomorrow, the soccer field will see undergraduates from each school earn their degrees. The undergraduates from the School of Social Sciences and Education will walk at 8 a.m. tomorrow. The 6 p.m. ceremony will celebrate the remaining 3 schools. Now, this is a ticketed event. It is not open to the public, but if you would like to tune in and you can't make it to the ceremony or you don't have a ticket, you can watch the live stream CSUB will be providing. That live stream will be at www.csub.edu/commencement. Live in CSUB, Chris Burton, 17 News.
All right, Chris, thanks so much. Also good to note, there's going to be a little bit of a traffic issue
going
on.
Just a little bit.
In that area,
Just
so
keep that in mind.
Well, making news around the world, President Biden is in South Korea this morning. It's his first trip to Asia as president.
And while much of the trip's focus will be on trade and economic development with some key allies, the president is also sending a message to China, North Korea, and Russia. NBC's Chris Pallone reports.
Alex and Maddie, good morning. Despite facing headwinds against some key agenda items here at home, President Biden is asserting the U.S.'s role as a global leader as he begins his first presidential trip to Asia. President Biden's first trip to Asia since taking office, a symbolic visit delivering messages to the U.S.'s allies and adversaries.
Reassuring several of our key allies in the Indo-Pacific about the United States' ongoing support for them, for their security, for their open and democratic societies in the face of challenges.
The presidential visit to South Korea and Japan, a sign of unity with key allies in the face of growing military and economic threats from North Korea, China, and Russia.
The message we're trying to send on this trip is a message of an affirmative vision of what the world can look like if the democracies and open societies of the world stand together to shape the rules of the road.
The president arrives in Seoul a day after welcoming the leaders of Finland and Sweden at the White House as they apply to join NATO.
It is so important. America's alliances in Europe and in Asia keep us, and I would argue, the world strong and secure.
The president leaves behind several pressing issues which have driven down his public approval ratings: the baby formula shortage, the war in Ukraine, and soaring gas prices.
We are working with oil-producing countries around the world. This will be a topic when the president is in Asia.
While in South Korea and Japan, the president will highlight partnerships with Asian companies, which the White House says will create jobs in the U.S. and help alleviate supply chain issues driving the recent spike in consumer prices. Back here at home, after a week's delay, the Senate last night finally passed a $40 billion aid package to help Ukraine in its battle with Russia. That bill is now being sent to South Korea for President Biden to sign as soon as possible. In Washington, Chris Pallone, 17 News.
Making headlines around the nation.
The gunman accused of killing 10 people at a Buffalo supermarket was in court yesterday. The judge ruled 18-year-old Peyton Gendron must remain in custody without bail. On Saturday, Gendron allegedly shot and killed 10 people inside a Tops supermarket while live streaming the attack. All but 2 of the victims were black. Investigators have discovered disturbing internet writings by the accused assailant, who could still face terrorism and hate crime charges. His next court appearance will be June 9th.
House Minority Leader Congressman Kevin McCarthy is tasked with handling divisions amongst Republicans in the House following the shooting in Buffalo. Wyoming Representative Liz Cheney wrote, quote, "House GOP leadership has enabled white nationalism, white supremacy, and anti-Semitism." McCarthy said Cheney was, quote, "just trying to play political games." But for McCarthy, this is just the latest rift in a session of Congress filled with talks with members over comments that have ruffled feathers. 17's Maddie Gannon explains.
Kevin McCarthy's running list of well-known conversations with House GOP members, starting with Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene in February last year, after Greene's multiple provoking comments, including speculating the California wildfires were caused by Jewish laser beams.
She said she knew nothing about lasers or all the different things that have been brought up about her.
The House Minority Leader denounced the comments, but defended the freshman representative for being stripped of her committee assignments.
It was not my purpose to make anyone upset.
In November, McCarthy tasked with talking to Arizona Representative Paul Gosar over an anime video where his cartoon kills a fellow representative. 2 weeks later, speaking to Lauren Boebert over comments perceived as Islamophobic to a Muslim House colleague. It all came to a head in February this year, with Greene and Gosar speaking at a conference organized by white nationalist Nick Fuentes.
There is no place in the party for this white nationalist talk. There is no place for a member to associate with Nick Fuentes or others.
McCarthy strongly condemning the action to 17 News, but saying he's still open to restoring them to the committee assignments Democrats and a handful of Republicans stripped them of last year.
They have the right to earn a place.
Most recently, McCarthy's had to take charge on comments coming from North Carolina Representative Madison Cawthorn.
Mr. Speaker.
In March, Cawthorn referred to Ukrainian President Zelensky as a thug.
Well, I firmly disagree with his comments. I mean, I've been very vocal that I think Putin is evil, he's a murderer.
But the strongest reaction coming after the 26-year-old freshman representative said he was invited by people in Washington to an orgy and saw leaders doing cocaine. That was the comment that led McCarthy to say Cawthorn has, quote, lost my trust.
That was 17's Maddie Gannon reporting. And now to the coronavirus. A panel of CDC advisors have voted to recommend children between the ages of 5 and 11 get the COVID-19 booster shot. The vote passed in a convincing 11-1 ruling with one abstention. The endorsement has come mere days after the Food and Drug Administration authorized a third shot of Pfizer's vaccine to elementary-aged kids 5 months following their last dose. Children between the ages of 5 and 11 will receive just 1/3 of the regular dosage given to everyone 12 and older. CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky is expected to accept the panel's endorsement and approve the recommendation.
Meantime, Moderna is looking to get its COVID-19 vaccine approved for children under 5. The FDA's chief says that they will act as soon as possible on Moderna's application. Nationwide, new cases are topping 100,000 a day, the highest rate since February. Officials say that number could rise in the coming summer months.
17 Health Watch now. With summer around the corner and temperatures going up, skincare is more of a concern. We're not just talking about sunscreen. Renowned Los Angeles dermatologist Dr. Jessica Wu says it's also important to keep using bug spray. Here in the Central Valley, we're home to many airborne annoyances, including mosquitoes.
That's why this summer, your routine before you head out the door should be, after you wash your face, apply lightweight moisturizer, use an SPF 30 to 50, and look for the words broad spectrum so that you're protecting from UVA and UVB rays, and always use bug spray before you head out the door.
Along with bug spray, Dr. Wu recommends wearing large sunglasses and a wide-brimmed hat when heading outside for long periods of time. Definitely going to remind myself to remember that tomorrow for all 3 baseball games.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.